here tonight because your questions will make this a very worthwhile webinar for everybody watching after the fact. So you'll notice on my instructions there, I can't unmute 100 plus people. It would be absolute chaos. And there were quite a number of you that registered for this webinar. It's 1 hour in duration, and I am going to spend 45 minutes chatting with you, and I will watch your questions come up and try and address them as they come up. But the last 15 minutes, I'm going to dedicate to brainstorming with you. So if you've got any questions, don't save them. Go ahead and pop them in the chat area. And if I don't have time to stop and address them during the 45, I will address them in the last 15. Okay. So just scrolling through your comments so far. Excellent. Okay, we're ready to go here. Happy New Year, everybody. It is a brand new year, but not a brand new Toastmasters year. It's a brand new year for all of those people that haven't discovered Toastmasters yet. And it is the perfect time for you to be strategizing with your team members on how to let those people know that you have exactly what they are looking for to make this year the best year they've ever had. If you are a club coach, and there's a few of you on here who currently coach clubs, your goal is to have the club that you're coaching distinguished by June 30th. Now, if you're in a club that is struggling, your goal for your club is to get that club distinguished by June 30th as well. The club coach has a little extra pressure, though, because that person is probably working towards their distinguished Toastmaster status, and if they don't get their club distinguished by June 30th, they have to wait another year, and they have until the following June 30th to get that club distinguished. At that point, then they can no longer work with that club. So it's a deadline that's looming over people's heads. The Distinguished Club Plan, it's fairly straightforward, and I know people's eyes roll when you start talking about this. It seems like a few arbitrary boxes that you want to put check marks in, but each of these boxes has a very distinct purpose. First of all, you want to have a quality club program that helps to move people past their fears, past their challenges, and help them to be more effective as a person at work, as a person in all areas of their life, to fulfill the whole reason why they signed up to join your club in the first place. To have that quality program, Toastmasters International realized that people need to be moving through the Competent Communicator Manual. They need to then graduate from the Competent Communicator Manual and move on to those advanced communicator manuals. They need to be working towards being a better leader. So that means go Competent Leader Manual. And by the way, you can do one Competent Leader Manual per year and have it count for the club that you belong to. So once you finish one, you just go ahead and do another one. And there are advanced leader awards that don't go through manuals necessarily, but are more project oriented, that really move your leadership to a whole new level. Toastmasters International recognizes that if people are moving through these goals, they are able to provide a better quality program for brand new Toastmasters that are walking through that door. Not only that, but they can keep their fellow members motivated as they progress. So Toastmasters wants to keep you moving through those projects and moving you through those goals year after year. They also realized that to make a quality environment, you need to take care of the nitty-gritty details. So somebody has to make sure the dues are paid. The club officers that are selected, their lists are in on time at Toastmasters International, so that Toastmasters can reach out to those club officers and give them the information that they need. And the district can reach out to those club officers and make sure they get equipped. Also, Toastmasters International realized that you need to keep bringing in new members because you will always have people leaving the program for different reasons, or leaving your club and moving on to different clubs for different reasons, not necessarily your fault, but you need to constantly be bringing new members in the door. So if you bring in 8 new members during the year, chances are you have a very healthy, thriving club that's retaining a solid membership but still growing. It's like a 3-legged stool, but at the base of this, you need to have at least 20 members to help maintain that healthy club experience for everybody walking through your door. That seems to be the magic number. Fewer than 20 members, and there will be members doing double duty. There will be a little bit of burnout. There will be people carrying the load all the time. And it's very taxing for them. They could become bitter and angry, and yeah, all sorts of bad things start to happen when people get burnt out. So that healthy base of at least 20 members is what I'm really focusing on in this webinar. If you have 20 members, that doesn't mean that on April 1st you're going to have 20 members, because everybody's life changes. When they have to write that check out for their dues and renewals, they're really going to think, am I having the kind of experience I signed up for here? Have I learned everything that I can learn from this club? Is it time to move on, or is it time to focus in other areas? So that's what we're going to be tackling tonight. Distinguish. When you think of your club being distinguished, think of it being healthy. We talked about the signs of a healthy club in previous webinars. But if you think of a healthy club, first of all, the members that come through your door, they're starving for something. They are hungry. So you need to feed those brand new members. Once people are fed, then they can focus on learning and growing. So you want to make sure that they continue to learn and grow. They don't just feed and go away. Once they are learning and growing, then they are equipped to serve the club and serve new members that come through the door. So you need this healthy cycle going on all the time with all of your members. They're going to be at different stages. The brand new member gets fed, and then the fed member needs to learn and grow. That learning and growing member needs to then learn how to serve others. If you have an unhealthy club, you can think of it as having an unhealthy diet. When you are just feeding fast food, what's quick and what's just going to fill the gap and appease people for now, it's not necessarily the right. And what happens is people aren't learning, and they aren't growing, at least not growing in the right direction. They're growing in a very unhealthy way, and they are not equipped to feed others. You end up with a club full of weak and needy people. It can really drain the few strong people that might have been strong when they first came in the club, might have a strong purpose themselves, but they can't continue to feed all these weak and needy members. They need more members to step up and eat that healthy diet. Your focus when you're in club rescue mode is on what you're doing and how you're doing it. If you focus on the wrong things, you're not going to get the results you want. Also, even if you're focusing on the right things but you're doing them wrong, you're not going to get the results that you want. And then what happens is you spin your wheels. You spend way more time than you have to. People are frustrated. People are at odds with each other. And going to your Toastmasters meeting becomes more of a chore rather than a privilege and a fun thing to do. If you are starting to feel that you maybe don't want to go to your club meetings, or if anyone says that, you really need to stop and say, well, what are we doing and how are we doing it? When you focus on what's urgent, much like the hare in the tortoise and the hare story. So you're focusing on what's expedient, what's quick and dirty, and you're not going to do things right. So even if you're doing the right things, you might be doing them wrong. and you're not getting the results you want. Whereas the tortoise takes a very methodical approach and really thinks about doing the right things for the right reasons in the right way, plans and plods along, make sure that things are done well. At the same time, you can plod along doing things well, but you might be dwelling on the wrong things. Imagine focusing all your attention on the outside, like having a really nice car, really nice clothes. Well, you can have a really nice car, but if you don't have a license, you can't drive it, so it's kind of useless. It looks really pretty sitting in your driveway, but it won't get you anywhere. So you need to focus on the important things. When you focus on the wrong things, you can do them right all you want, but it's still not going to get you the results you want. And what happens is people leave your club disillusioned. They're not getting what they came there for, or they feel that maybe that's all the Toastmasters program has to offer. And they put Toastmasters in the back of their mind and go on to other things that are more important to them at the time. So we have videos for the webinars that I've done in the past. I did one first of all to talk about the 3 different things that you can focus on to get your advanced leader silver. You can either be a club coach, you can be a club mentor, or you can be a club sponsor. And then the club coaching series is really what I wanted to focus people on, to equip more people to either be club coaches or to help their clubs, just be coaches within their clubs, helping their team to succeed. So the first video really focused on the first steps. What makes a good club coach, how to start, how to get buy-in from your team, how to keep that buy-in, what to do when people act counterproductively, how to attract guests, and one new way to turn guests into members. If you haven't watched that video yet, I urge you to go back and watch it. If you've been signing up for these, you have the email from me, but you can always email me, carol@getthrival.com, and I will send you that link again. Then we went on to the second webinar, which was all about second steps and dealing with conflict. These are things that you kind of need in place before you really look at attracting new members. So the steps to take when a member truly is the problem, engaging the absent or the uncommitted to help the club thrive, helping club officers without being a nag or turning them off, and keeping your credibility high with your team so that they continue to value your help. That is important either for the club coach or for that member who really wants to make a difference, or for any of the club officers. The third one was about those growing pains that you're going to experience when you start getting members in the door. So it's how to keep that momentum when you start growing, what to do with newly empowered members who have really unique ideas of what needs to happen next, exit interviews and other best practices, the 3 club killers that you need to be aware of, and how to groom your future leaders. So if you have interest in any of those videos and you don't currently have access to them, let me know. I will get those to you, carol@getthrival.com. Today we are focusing on how to attract and retain current members. This is the last of the series, so we're going to be focusing on I'm going to tell you an extreme success story, and I'm going to give you a few other success stories as well to kind of give you ideas of what you can do for your club. You're going to learn what attracts new people, what makes them stay, tools to motivate your team, resources to help you, and what to do immediately after this webinar. Toastmaster says you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Those first impressions are absolutely vital. The very first thing you should be thinking of in the new year is doing moments of truth, gauging the member experience that people are having that are currently in your club, and guests coming through the door, what they're experiencing. In the moments of truth, you go through first impressions, member orientation, membership strength, fellowship, variety and communication, program planning and meeting organization, and achievement recognition. Oddly enough, these are the same things that your area governor is going to be asking you about when your area governor comes to visit. If you want the moments of truth, you can download it for free as a PDF. It's item number 290 on the Toastmasters International site. So you don't have to purchase it anymore. You don't have to wait for the snail mail. You can get it immediately right now for nothing. You should actually be doing moments of truth twice per year. This is the ideal time to get that in. So make sure you get that scheduled. And don't just try and whip through it in 20 minutes. You really do need to dedicate a good hour to it. Some people take up an entire meeting. Some people don't have that time in their meeting, so they spread it over several meetings. They tackle one section per meeting, and they dedicate 15 or 20 minutes to each section. How to attract guests and turn them into members. There's that old saying from the field of dreams, build it and they will come. And a lot of people take that, though, all the right things to turn their club into an environment where people will actually want to stay. That's great if your club is the exact match for those people that are looking, and they are looking for your club. They will find your club and they will make that connection. But what happens if they're not looking? Or what happens if they're looking in the wrong place? What happens if your club isn't getting that message out there that they are the exact match for what these people are looking for? You really need to reach out, and you need to ask. Reach out and ask. There is no way around this formula. Now, this is where a lot of members go, oh, no, you know what, that's not what I signed up. I signed up for better speaking skills. I signed up to improve my leadership skills so that I could get a promotion at work. Oh, this is for somebody else. Oh, that's why we have a VP of PR. Guess what? Every single one of your members is a VP of PR. You're all part of the PR team. You can't leave it to just one person to promote your club, to attract new members, and to make sure that those members are retained. So you've got to ask your club, and don't be afraid to ask them, are you interested in having a really strong and healthy club, or are you committed? I'm going to tell you a little story now, a success story. The Rich Dell story. William, that is that gentleman circled in the middle of the page there. He belonged to Rich Dell. And they had dwindled in membership. They had asked for a club coach. And one by one, members were dropping off. They just disappeared, didn't show up anymore. And renewal time came. Renewal time came, and all that was left was William and his club coach. The two of them sat there staring at each other going, okay, now what? And the logical idea at that point, when you're down to two members, how can we grow when we need to renew with 3 members to even have a chance to rebuild our club? But William took a look at the history of Rich Dell. It had been around for a couple of decades. It had been a very strong club. In fact, it had been so strong that it had given birth to many other clubs. It had started other clubs in Richmond. Its members had been very involved in district. Its members had been very successful in speech contests and in different levels of leadership within the district. So William decided that he wasn't willing to let the club die on his watch. He made the commitment that he wanted to build this club, and his club coach said, okay. So they reached out for the help that they needed with that commitment. They reached out, they found out about meetups, they created a meetup site, they got the right message on there. They really brainstormed about what kind of person that they were likely to attract in this club who would actually stay and help them continue to build the club. So they didn't focus on how to be a top speaker. They realized that they were going to attract a lot of people that struggled with English. So they reached out for those people who were looking to speak with confidence and have better English skills. Then they started putting social proof up on their meetup site. They took pictures of all of their activities. They invited Toastmasters who were in other clubs to come and participate in their meetings so that they could take pictures of vibrant meetings where people were having fun and doing things that would attract people looking for a club where they could not only learn new skills, but have a good time doing it. And what happened? Well, they started getting people committing, signing the checks, and staying with the club, helping be part of the solution, continuing to build that club up. On December 1st, 2014, that club at 7, it went from 2 members to 17 in just, I believe it is a year and a half. So in 1 year, they were already at 18 members. Now, generally, December, you're usually still trying to rebuild after people's summer vacations and people are getting their kids back to school. So really, January is the big time where people start to join clubs. I have full confidence that Richdale will be distinguished this year. They will have 20 members or more, and they continue to have very vibrant meetings. Part of their success formula is they made the decision to grow. They made the decision to create a quality Toastmasters meeting no matter who shows up or doesn't show up. They decided if it was just the 2 of them, they would still have a speech, they would still have an evaluation, they would still have table topics, they would go through all the roles, and they would make sure that the 2 of them continued to grow and learn from the Toastmasters program. They fed each other every single meeting. They also voted to bring in a club coach. The current club coach had exhausted her stay. She couldn't continue, so they brought in 2 club coaches that worked with the club from that point forward. They focused on bringing in their perfect members who would be attracted to their club. They didn't reach out to anybody and say that they could serve everybody. They reached out to the people they knew they could serve. They learned how to close the sale. And when you say the word sale, people freak out a little bit. But it's really inviting people to take the next step that's right for them. Helping them to identify that this is the right step for them and making it easy for them to take that step. They focused on the main thing, and the main thing is what we do as Toastmasters. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. I mean, you can put all sorts of side missions and visions together for your particular team that make it unique. But when it comes right down to it, as a Toastmasters club, you are a Toastmasters franchise, and this is what each Toastmasters club is responsible for doing. So they just focused on that. They didn't try to get fancy. Oh, there it is bigger so everybody can read it. And they grew. They are not the only one. This is not a one-off success story. Toastmasters on the Hill, when I took over as Lieutenant Governor of Marketing and they went through their renewals, Toastmasters on the Hill only had 3 members. In fact, they had only renewed with 3 members the period before, so they actually ended up suspended. They couldn't even access their account. It seemed like a hopeless case. Do you let the club go, or do you try to make it work? And it did seem like a lot of work to get it going. So July 1st, they were sitting at 3 members. They renewed with 3 members. They were suspended, but they made that commitment that they weren't going to let the club die. They roped in some people to help within Toastmasters on the Hill is in a university, so they brought a faculty member in to really be a club champion. They brought in a couple club coaches that were willing to work with them, and they committed to doing the work. They made their meetings fun. They had good quality meetings every single time. People came into that atmosphere and they realized that they could learn a lot in that environment, that this would benefit them. So they joined, they got fed, and now they're learning and growing. So hopefully these people will in turn learn how to feed other people and help them to learn and grow. All Pro Advanced Toastmasters. They were down to 6 members in October of 2012, and the founder and president looked at me and she said, "Yeah, I think we should just close." And I said, "No way," because there is no way that I'm going to find another club that gives the kind of feedback that our 6 members give. This is an experience that we won't have at any other Toastmasters club. So I made the commitment, and because I made the commitment, she made the commitment. And then all of our members got on board with that commitment. And we took a look at, well, who are our ideal members? Who are we really going to attract to this advanced club that has no fluff back? It's a little difficult for some people to take. So we figured out it's those people who want to be professional speakers in the real world, and this is the benefit to them. They get this really critical thinking feedback. They get it not only from one person, but they get it from many people, and they will grow in the ways that they need to grow with that peer feedback. We started hosting events that would attract those people out there in the professional speaking world, or those people that wanted to be professional speakers. And through those events, people saw, they made the connection, they realized where they would get fed, and so they signed up. Now that they're being fed, they're actually learning and growing. We hope to turn into people who can in turn turn around and feed other new people coming through the door. North Delta, they were down to 3 members 1 year after chartering, and they became that ESL club because they were all different nationalities and no one could really understand them. But one member in there made that commitment. She said, "No, we're not going to let this club fail." And she advertised in the local paper. She reached out and asked for help. She got a club coach in, and she says, without that one club coach, they probably never would have made it. But that one club coach, she had excellent English speaking skills. So everybody that came into the club got fed, whether they struggled with English or whether their English was solid. They had a great experience. They realized they could be fed there, and they joined. The North Delta Power Talkers is the club I joined when I first joined Toastmasters. And I saw that it was a place that everybody, no matter what level of speaking skills they were at, everybody was growing in there. Not only that, but they all had a great time. They were more like a family than a real structured learning environment. But they had this structured learning environment where people really did gain skills. So I joined, I got fed, I learned, I grew, and in turn, I turned around and I learned how to feed and grow others. Speakers Cornered. This is a very recent success story. As Lieutenant Governor of Marketing, I looked at their renewals and they had 0 registered. And we got a club coach going in there and he said 4 were showing up. 4 were showing up. In December, they were 14 strong. And in fact, at the beginning of December, I was told that they had 3 more people signing up at the next meeting. They are already, I think that they've got all their DCT points that they need to be distinguished. And they're well on their way to being distinguished. They are aiming for presidents. So, you can walk away, or you can be part of the solution. So sometimes you just have to pick up and carry on. Rather than focusing on the problems and going, oh no, what are we going to do? And being stressed at every moment, you can say, what's possible? And you can be part of the solution, no matter how the circumstances look. There's always another chance to turn it around. You just have to get people's commitment. So think about it. Why did you join Toastmasters? Why did you join that club that you're in? Go back to that moment that you wrote your very first check to join Toastmasters and you handed that check over. What were your hopes? What were your fears? What did you expect from the club? When you put your mind into that thinking, you can really think about who your club is likely to attract and what it is, what kind of message you need to put out there to get them in the door and to get them to commit to your club. All it takes is you to get together with your club and make that decision of what you're going to do. Decide that you are going to make your club a healthy, thriving environment. And to be healthy, remember that equals distinguished. That's a sign of a healthy club. Whoops. Then you need to commit. Once you commit, and you ask your members, are you interested or committed? Get them to commit. Well, you might need to do a little bit of work to make that commitment fun. Rick Furbish is a past district governor, a very successful past district governor, a very successful past lieutenant governor of marketing that built a tremendous number of clubs when he was in that role, plus maintained very healthy clubs. And his way of operating, he said the less serious you take the game, the more likely you'll win the game. So if you have that positive mental attitude and you don't take yourself too seriously, chances are you're going to have a healthy and thriving club. Think about how you can make this goal fun. Go for the fun at all times. So then you create your plan. What are we going to do? How are we going to attract these members? How are we going to make this a thriving environment, a place for them to get fed, and a place that after they're fed, they want to continue to learn and grow? You create an environment that people want to be part of. And then you focus on attracting the kind of member that's going to stick. Who is that ideal member for your club? Not necessarily the club next door, not necessarily the club that has 33 members and never has a worry about attracting new members. You have different people. You might have something slightly different to offer. And the people that don't connect with that club of 33 people where it's really busy and you can kind of hide in the background and not participate, you might be just the club that those people that are attracted to that event will do. So because you might be struggling with maybe you have 12, maybe you're down to 8, or maybe you're even below 8 and just trying to get to that knowledge of 8 members so you can be an official Toastmasters club. Don't apologize for where you're at, because wherever you're at, that's what people need to connect to and decide that they want to be part of. Focus on the environment that you can create with what you have right now at your fingertips. And then when that member joins, your club actually changes shape. That's why you need to do that Moments of Truth twice a year. Because 6 months from now, you will not be the same club that you are today. You will have different members that each have their own specific goals, that each bring their own level of experience and expertise to the table. You need to keep making sure that your club is relevant to the members that you currently have. So attract your ideal member and ask them. You need to reach out and invite them. The only reason that I joined Toastmasters is because somebody came into my place of business. She happened to want to do business there. And somewhere in the conversation, out came the words Toastmasters and North Delta Power Talkers. And I said, wait a second, we have a Toastmasters club in North Delta? Now, I'd heard of Toastmasters, I'd had it mentioned to me several times. I'd had somebody even tell me, oh, yeah, you should go to a meeting. And that's as far as it got. He didn't tell me where the meeting was. He didn't tell me what I could expect. He just said, yeah, I should go. And my picture of Toastmasters looking at him was a bunch of men in suits who like to listen to themselves talk. Because to be honest, he liked to listen to himself talk. So that his club probably wouldn't have been the right club for me. However, he didn't take that extra step to actually tell me what I could expect in the club, invite me to the meeting, tell me how to get there, and personally say, be my guest, come as my guest. I'm speaking next week. I'd like you to be there to support me. I would love for you to be in the audience. Please come. So you need to find ways to ask the right people that you know would make good members to come to your club. And don't be shy. Don't be apologetic. Don't wait for the experience to get better. Ask. There is a module in, an education session, that's what I'm after, an education session in the Toastmasters International program called Closing the Sale. It's not very exciting, but it will give you some basics. It's item number 293, and I suggest do not order it. Just go ahead and download the PDF. Don't spend money on it because I'm sure that you could create something even better than this yourself. But you can take a look at that and think of how you can present that education session to your team in a way that makes it fun and engaging, that everybody will understand that sales isn't creepy and it isn't pushy, that really it's all about reaching out to the people that you know that you could help and inviting them to take the next step. Plus, making sure that that next step is as easy as possible for them. And then the fifth part of that formula is to maintain. You want to maintain the members that you get in the door. If they're coming in the front door and leaving out the back 6 months later, you're not solving your problem. And people leave for different reasons. So they might leave because maybe they don't like what the club officer team is doing. Maybe they don't like the people on the club officer team. Well, they might not like the other member, might not identify with the other. Maybe they don't like the environment. I know somebody who joined a club. They met in a restaurant, and there was a lot of clanging and clashing of dishes, and people ate while they were trying to do their speech. They didn't like that environment. Okay, well, maybe it wasn't the environment for them. So they needed a different club. They needed a different environment. You can't really do too much about that if that's where your club chooses to meet. But you need to revisit where your club meets all the time and make sure that it's serving the members. Maybe they have personal needs that they have to attend to, and it has nothing to do with Toastmasters. They'd love to stay, they just can't. It could be work demands. It could be family demands. It could be unexpected external factors that force them to leave. But most of the time, they say that, oh, it's just, it's not the right fit for me right now, or I'm really busy with work. I'm really busy right now, but I'll be back. But really, what's happening is they have other distractions in their life that they find more worthy than coming to your club meeting. So it's making sure that your meeting is the most worthy distraction in their life, and they are not willing to give it up. Think about what transformation your members purchased. Are they receiving that transformation? And if not, why? So in order to be able to have a transformation, you have to know your own personal why. You have to connect the dots between the Toastmasters program and what it is that you're really there to receive. If you don't make that connection, you will find other distractions that are more important, or you will find maybe the meetings are uncomfortable and you don't like being uncomfortable, so maybe you'll come back. You feel more comfortable, like that's ever going to happen. As a team, you are constantly working on leadership. And a leader is there to remove obstacles and find resources. And it's part of creating that supportive and positive learning experience, which is part of our Toastmasters mission. You also need to make sure that you're sharing the load without squishing people. And I covered that in another webinar that we've gone over. You really need to work together as a team. Part of that is discovering the strengths that each of your team members have and finding ways for them to contribute those strengths in the way that they want to. If they wave their head madly for something that they've never done before, don't leave them to their own devices. Partner them up with somebody who has some skills in that area so that they can learn. This is a learning organization, and they are there to gain some new skills. But they're not there to have a load dumped on them and for them to be left to their own devices to try and figure these skills out. So make sure that your members are getting fed. And when you see conflict, we covered this again in an earlier webinar, remember, breathe, step back, and be curious. Don't let conflict get to you. Don't think it's the end of the world. Don't think you need to get rid of these people, but actually get curious and figure out what it is at the heart of that conflict. It's a great opportunity to learn. Conflict, you learn far more from conflict than you do when everybody's working together and everything's easy. So we talked about making sure that you choose the best way. You don't butt heads and force your way. Somebody doesn't make it sabotage somebody else getting their way and be that passive-aggressive person. But we make sure that we're always choosing the best way for the best outcome for the entire team, rather than that you're trying to compromise and please everybody. Choose the best way and you'll never go wrong. Make sure that your members are setting goals that work. So they need to connect with their why they're here. And then, so starting with their why, then they can start to chunk down how to get there and be very smart with the goal to actually create that what that they're creating. I can give you more information on that if you want. I'm just looking at the time and I've got to keep motoring on. So if you've got questions about this, do pop them in the chat area and I will come back to them. But most of you know what SMART goals are. They are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Each of your members should be making these goals for themselves. In fact, I had this idea of, you know, how everybody has their little name tents in front of them at the meetings, that maybe they should have their SMART goal written right on the back of that tent and to know where they are at all times, achieving that time-bound goal. They have a date that they want to achieve that goal. And that means they're held accountable because the people on either side of them can see what their goal is and they can see the date that they need to reach that goal. So it's always in front of them at every meeting. So in this webinar, we've covered so far interest versus commitment. I told you about an extreme success story and a few others. We talked about what attracts people. We talked about what makes them stay. And if you didn't quite catch that, it's that they continue to learn and they continue to grow. They continue to find your club a worthy distraction in their life. And they create that reason for themselves to keep coming, to keep renewing their membership, and to keep with the program. Now we're going to cover tools to motivate your team and resources to help. And at the very end, I'm going to talk about what to do immediately after this webinar. So just looking at the time, I had made the commitment to 45 minutes and then to cover your questions for 15 minutes at the end. I've been kind of keeping my eye on the side and looking at any questions coming in, and so far I haven't seen any. So if you have a question that wasn't answered, just type it in again so it pops up again. We have incentives to help clubs to increase their members, and the biggest incentive for you to focus on right now in January is the Club Campaign Challenge. So membership campaigns, well, you can put little rewards for who brings in the most members, but somebody is already going to defeat themselves and go, oh, I don't really care about that reward, and therefore I'm not going to do the work. However, if you get your entire club working together as a team on this Club Campaign Challenge, many hands make light work. I will be cutting this off so that this runs January, February, and March. You've had November and December to start working on it. But really, February is Toastmasters month. So it's ideal for you to start planning your big campaign now to do your push in February. I have to cut things off in March because I need to get a team to evaluate all these different entries to make sure that I can give out the first, second, and third winner awards at the spring conference. What we're going to be judging these club campaigns on is how unique they are, how many guests they actually bring in, the percentage of guests that actually join. So those are things that you have to track. It's the number of guests that come in the door, and then we can actually see how your membership increases during that time. And then we are going to judge 10% on the fun factor. So, that 10% might make all the difference. Start thinking about different things that you can do. So how can you reach out on social media? What event can you hold that would attract your ideal member, that would make them go, hey, this is a fun group and I really want to be part of them? How can you spread the word about what Toastmasters provides? I've talked to some people that have this little soapbox session where they get up on soapboxes and they do a 3-minute rant. It's like a table topic. And then they invite members from the crowd to come up and do their own rant in their time. And it's really, really a lot of fun. Make sure that you're filming, make sure you're taking pictures, get somebody to do a write-up about the event and document leading up to the event what steps you took to create it. We're going to put all this on the website so that members of clubs that are struggling have a place to look and get ideas. The more we share our successes, the more success we're going to create in our district. And hey, if you can get the news media out and if they can do a live report of the event, that's even better. Or you can do your own live report and put it up on YouTube. The sky is the limit. Put your heads together. The more heads that come together, the richer the ideas you're going to get in your big pot of ideas. And you don't just have to select one. You can select multiple ideas, approaching your perfect members from all different angles. Each one of those is a separate entry into this contest, so that gives you more chances to win. Also, if you are a member of 96, you will already know this, but District 96, of course, Gene Vickers last year, he created that Change Your Colors campaign. And one of the members up in Prince George, he is an absolute computer brilliant whiz, amazing guy. And he put together this whole program that helps people to motivate to change their colors without a whole lot of extra work put in by Gene Vickers. So when you log on to this link, which is HTTP, I think if you mouse over it right now, if you're online, you can probably click on it and it'll probably take you to the page. But if you can't, just write this down. code.patchogrande.com/Club DCP Summary -with -membership.php. If you clicked on that, you would immediately go to District 96 and it would look something like this. Well, that's not the view that we want. So rather than District 96, you see that little marker over to the far right, you would grab that marker and pull it along the line until you reach District 21. Now, if you look at the clubs, it's all a mishmash down there, and I think it's sorted in order by club number. But you can change the sorting order. You can reorganize by areas and divisions. And so you see, if you know your division, if you're in Division A and you're in area number 1, that would be that first line there. You can see all the other clubs in your area and your division at a glance. In fact, you can scroll down and see all the other clubs in other divisions and compare where you're at to where they're at. There is a code at the top. You can see for the number of DCP points that you have, your color changes. There's a great big number at the top, and that's how many DCP points you actually have. And then below that, you see some clubs have a minus, some clubs have a plus. That's where your membership sits right now. If you have minus, that means you need 2 more members to be qualified for the DCP program. So 2 more members and your points actually start to count. And just note that April 1st, you might lose a couple of members. So you've always got to keep your eye on kind of who isn't showing up in your club, and ask them. Just say, we haven't seen you for a while, just wanted to know what's happening in your life, why you aren't coming. And now is the time for you to reach out to those people you haven't seen in a while and find out why they are missing in action. You still have time to turn that around. You still have time to get them engaged in their own learning, to help them to connect with their purpose of why they're there. Get them involved in the club in other ways that are going to help grow them in the way that they came there to grow. And help them to discover new opportunities within Toastmasters that they weren't aware of, that maybe you're not even aware, that would help them. Help them connect the dots for themselves, and you will retain them. It's much easier to retain members than it is to find new ones. So do work on that from both fronts, from retention and from attraction. So again, when things aren't going the way you expect them to go, don't worry about it. Breathe, step back, and be curious and think, what's really going on here? And what can we do as a team to turn this all around? It's not just conflict between members. It's conflict between what you want to achieve and what you are achieving as a team. Make sure that you choose the best way to go forward for your members, not just for you. Gauge your members. In order to do this, you need to talk to your members and find out what they're stressed about, what they don't like, what's working for them and what isn't. And then all of this information that I'm covering now, it's in previous webinars. So go back to those webinars and learn the steps to build bridges. Fix those relationships now so you don't run into a problem at the beginning of April, and you can finish the year strong. Focus on keeping people connected to their goals. Don't let them weasel out of them. Don't let them lose sight of them. Hold them accountable to that check that they wrote when they walked in the door. So if they haven't been doing a speech, encourage them. When are you going to do your next speech? I really enjoyed your icebreaker. I can't wait to hear your next one. Can I help you with that? Are they connected to a mentor? They're finding ways to learn and grow. Just that initial feeding that they had when they came through the door. And of course, if you have a net gain by June 1st, and there's a reason it's June 1st, I don't want that crunch at the end of June, but if you have a net gain over where you were from July 1st, the trio, or at least members of the trio, are going to show up at one of your club meetings with cake. And you'll be able to utilize us in your meeting however you choose. I've been keeping my eye on the side here. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't scroll down. Okay. Oh, you know what? I missed a bunch of questions. I'm sorry. I was just merrily skipping along here. How do you go about getting a club coach, Mike asked? And that is covered in a previous webinar, Mike. I can send you the previous webinars and you can go through them. But there is one document you can download from Toastmasters International that will give you all the information you need to get a club coach. But I actually have a process that you walk through. Okay, Faye was asking, is there still going to be a rescue team, the Toastmatics? Unfortunately, that was put on hold, and what I'm looking for right now is champions who want to be Toastmatics. If you are in a strong club, or if you're a strong member in a club and you want to reach out to other clubs that surround you in your division or in your area, you want to be part of their solution, then connect with Chris Kozakowski or connect with me, and we will help you form a Toastmatics team in your division. I'm hoping to have different teams in different divisions. There are some divisions that are quite close to each other, so they can kind of share a team. But this is a group that comes in and they have fun, they participate in a meeting, they make observations, they leave that team with a prescription, a couple little things that they could tweak that would make their meeting even better. And then that club puts their heads together. They decide what they want to take action on, what they don't. Maybe they can even tweak some of those recommendations to fit their club more appropriately. And then there's a follow-up visit where the Toastmatics team comes and has fun again with the team. It's all meant to be encouraging, uplifting. It's not judgmental. So don't be afraid to participate in one of these groups. And you will learn a lot by being a Toastmaster. Okay, so it says I have 2 members who will be reading their commitment to take a step to working towards events manuals. How can you get people to commit to their goals? They have to have goals to begin with. So why did they join? What did they want to gain out of the Toastmasters program? And are they even aware of the levels that they could reach? Take them to an advanced club. Get them to come to a conference. Get them to participate in either a Toastmasters Leadership Institute, or get them to come out to club officer training even though they're not a club officer, and to learn about some of these other roles. Get them connected to the reason to stay and keep moving forward. Getting your CC and your CL is like graduating from elementary school. I covered that in a previous webinar. So go back through those webinars. There's some great tips to help motivate your team to keep moving forward. I'm just scrolling back. Sorry, I missed these. What kind of advertising is proven to work to bring in guests? There is no magic formula. This is the beauty. You will figure out what works for your team. You might have a social media whiz on your team, and they might want to attract maybe younger members that are attracted by social media. So social media would work for those. Meetup is an excellent tool, but you will only attract those people who are on meetup.com. If they're not registered with meetup.com, then they won't find you. Some people will be doing online searches for clubs. That's the way a lot of people are finding what they need now. And generally, if members are in their 30s and 40s, they're pretty adept at their computer now, but not all of them. There are still those people that read the community paper. For some regions, for some areas in British Columbia, the local paper works. For some areas in British Columbia, the local coffee shop works. But for everybody, no matter where you are, word of mouth works. Personally inviting people works. Reaching out to those people and giving them the opportunity to experience your club, to find out if this might be a match of what they're looking for, to help them have a good experience in the club and to decide to do something that's going to boost themselves up. Okay, so I'm just going back. Blah, blah, blah. Ask what words get perfect members excited. Then use those in all promotions and agendas, being clear about how they define those words. That's excellent. Perry Moore from Coquitlam, thank you very much for that. And I'm scrolling backwards. Promote your club's unique selling proposition. And so Faye's got a little formula there. I don't think you even really need to be that complicated about it. You just need to say, hey, what do we want more of in our club? Who do we serve? Who is it that is going to benefit from what we have to offer? And just have that very real conversation with your team. You don't have to get all fancy. Okay, so scrolling back, how can we break the stereotype men in suits like to hear themselves talk? The only way you can do that, Dale, is by getting the word out to the community that your Toastmasters Club is different. Just let them know, let them experience your team. Do something out in the community that creates awareness. And the people who are attracted to that will end up showing up at your next meeting. Okay, if we do too much for people, they become needy and lose motivation to contribute all they are. That is absolutely true. Thank you, Perry, for that. And so people have given comments. If you're online, you can scroll through those comments. And so I appreciate those comments. I appreciate questions. I've just got a couple of slides that I'm going to whip through to conclude. People do what they choose. So Acoustic and Posner did all this research. They found out that people want to be led by those who are honest, competent, forward-thinking, and inspiring. We're where leaders are made. We aren't where leaders show up and strut their stuff. You have an opportunity, no matter where you are in your life, to boost your leadership in Toastmasters. And part of being the leader that other people want to follow is to be honest, competent, forward-thinking, and inspiring in everything that you do. So manage how you show up in your club and invite other members who are struggling in these areas to think about what sort of impression they want to create in the club to attract new members. Invite them to put that image forward at all times so that those members do sign up and become part of your solution. Of course, the Toastmasters values are respect, integrity, service, and excellence. And if your club is upholding those Toastmasters values, you will have less difficulty retaining good members. They will want to stay because it's hard to find people these days and organizations that you can respect, organizations that have integrity, organizations that are service-oriented, and organizations that are committed to excellence. It's a brand new calendar year. All those people out there making decisions of what they want to do to improve their life right now are looking for you. How can you reach out and give them the message that you have something, you have a place where they can get fed, where after they get fed, they can continue to learn and to grow, and they can be of service to other people who want to learn from you. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask. So we've gone over interest versus commitment, the success story, what attracts new people, what makes them stay, tools to motivate your team. I've given you a couple, and resources to help are all over Toastmasters International. I didn't have time to put all the links up here, and all the links I had, they all changed, of course, with the new Toastmasters site. So I invite you, the new Toastmasters site is really easy to find things on. Go on there and do a search. Use the words that you truly want answers to, and you will find a wealth of information that's easy to manage now. What to do immediately after this webinar? Don't get bogged down. Keep focusing on, number one, moments of truth. So to do that moments of truth, at the very earliest your club can get through it. And devise a way that your club's going to get through it that's going to work for the meetings that you have. Don't let them say, we just don't have room on our agenda. That's not a good enough excuse. Maybe you need to start your meeting half an hour earlier and invite all members that can make it to be there, to be part of your future solution, to help build the club of tomorrow. Figure out what kind of events and what kind of activities you can do to attract that perfect member that you identify will be fed by your team and will find a reason to stay, learn, and grow. You focus on those two things, just those two things after this webinar is finished, and you have a win. And then I invite you to go back and review the recordings of these club coaching webinars. You will keep pulling out ideas and gems that you can make use of. Put them into action. Just choose one at a time and take action on it. Or assign one little project to a couple members of your team. They work on that and then go on to the next one. Email address that you can get all of the information that you could possibly ever want about club coaching. You can email me at carol@getthrival.com. Sorry, I still have the Christmas theme up, don't I? As our past international president and our very own District 21 member said, be selfish about your learning. When you make sure you're getting what you need out of Toastmasters to continue moving forward, you continue learning and growing, you will have the tools that it takes to turn around and serve others. The more people you serve, the more people will be equipped to serve more people. And we will continue to provide this really brilliant training program that truly moves people to more and more British Columbians. So thank you all for being on here. Did I miss anything? I don't think so.